Kurt Cobain, the leader of one of rock's most gifted and promising bands, Nirvana, is dead, and this is the story as we know it so far. Cobain's body was found in a house in Seattle on Friday morning. He was dead of an apparently self-inflicted shotgun blast to the head. Police found what is said to be a suicide note at the scene, but have not yet divulged its contents. Cobain, who was 27, had reportedly been missing for about 6 days, according to his mother. The Los Angeles Times reported on Wednesday that Nirvana was breaking up and that Cobain was planning to undergo drug rehabilitation. A source close to the band told MTV News earlier this week that while that story sounded bad, it was better than what was, quote, really going on. That comment remains to be clarified.
So here we are, folks, 20 years later since the death of Kurt Cobain. Now, of course, Nirvana, one of the best bands of all time, the band that put alternative rock music into the mainstream, one of the best bands of the 1990s, and one of the best bands, period. Now, of course, a lot of people remember that day turning on MTV with Kurt Loder breaking the news of Cobain's death. But my question for you guys, where were you that day? Were you at school? Were you at home? Were you at work? Were you with a friend? What were you doing that day? I mean, many people consider this day right up there with the death of Elvis, the death of John Lennon. It's one of those days you'll never forget where you were. And that just goes to show, here we are 20 years later, and we're still talking about Kurt Cobain and his lasting legacy. And I just wanted to talk about Cobain and his legacy for a few minutes. And of course, Nirvana, the band that put alternative rock into the mainstream in the early 90s. I mean, pretty much in the early 90s, a lot of the considered hair bands were big at the time. Michael Jackson was big at that time, and it just seemed that music was here to dominate forever. There just didn't seem to be no end. But, you know, along comes Nirvana and really just blew that music away. It was really the end of the 80s in a lot of ways. A lot of the 80s fashions, music trends really started to die out after Nirvana released Nevermind in September of 91. And, you know, Nirvana was only around for just like 3 short years, from like 91 to like 94. They put out Nevermind, In Utero, and I think they put out the MTV Unplugged maybe just right after Cobain's death, I think it was. But, you know, they were only around for just 3 short years, and here we are 20 years later, and we're still talking about Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. And I know they recently got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool. They deserve it. But, you know, since the death of Kurt Cobain, rock music has really just seems like it's just been a downward spiral since the death of Cobain. Like, you know, it's rock music has just seemed to get a lot more angrier, more depressed. It seems like just a lot of rock bands now just think if they tap into the Nirvana style, the whole angry, mad at the world, that, you know, they'll be considered cool. And now it just seems kind of outdated. Like rock bands just seem kind of like how the whole hair bands were at the end of that whole phase. Like, it just seems outdated, and there just doesn't seem to be really a change going on with rock music. It's just the same old, and I think that's why a lot of people just turn to like these pop singers like Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, and these rappers, because, you know, nobody wants to hear that negative, depressed rock music. Like, it's just so outdated at this point in time. But back in the early 90s, when Nirvana and Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, when those guys came out, that was fresh, and that was something new, and that was exciting. And that's why so many people got turned on to that music at that time. And that's what I think Kurt Cobain and Nirvana's legacy is, that you can change music overnight. You can change your life overnight. That's what his legacy means to me. It just doesn't mean, well, if I'm like Kurt Cobain, then, you know, I'm going to change the world. When Nirvana came out, they were fresh and new. And, you know, a lot of people say now, you know, we need a new Nirvana. The new Nirvana will be something totally new and different from what this band was. But their legacy is to show people you can change things, and you can change things overnight. And for that, I salute Kurt Cobain. God rest his soul. And I hope you guys will share your thoughts, your memories, and just leave comments on this video. I hope you guys like it. Be sure to subscribe, and hope you guys take a moment to remember Kurt Cobain. If you're a fan or if you're not, just take a moment to reflect on this guy's legacy that he had on our culture and in the world. And I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one. And be sure to check out Nirvana.
And I don't mean this speciously at all, that I think he was the closest that his generation came to a John Lennon, in that, you know, he was writing very much from the heart, very directly, and he didn't play according to the rules. And the thing that I found really disturbing was that the number of letters that I got after my original review of In Utero, in which I made that reference, people were saying, well, how dare you compare him to John Lennon? And I say, you know, look at their life stories, listen to the music. If you don't see the connection, then you're just not paying attention.
And here's a guy who's a product of a broken home, never got along with his parents, had all these physical ailments. I mean, it was not a pretty life.
The thing is, you know, people say, well, you know, what did he say to his audience? Well, he was his audience. You know, he was not the exception to any rule, except for the fact that he was successful. You know, he wrote those songs directly from, if not personal experience, and experiences that he knew, and emotions and turmoil that he went through. And you can hear it in the way he sang, in the words that he used, the metaphors, the sound of the guitars. You know, that all came through loud and clear. And I think that it was, in a way, I really feel that this is a great loss. This is not just some, you know, rock star who couldn't handle success and took an easy way out.